2. Necktie Justice. Hear ye, hear ye, this honorable court's now in session, and if any galoot wants a snort before we start, let him step up to the bar and name his person. Oscar, serve the gentleman. Thus did Judge Bean open court to try one Carlos Robles, an opening typical of his original procedure. Carlos Robles, he said sullenly after witnesses and hangers-on had down their liquor, it is in finding of this court that you are charged with a grave offense against the police and dignity of the law west of the Pecos and of the state of Texas, to wit, cattle rustling. Guilty or not guilty? Not being able to speak or comprehend English, Robles merely grunted. The court accepts your plea of guilty. The jury will now deliberate, and if it brings a verdict short of hanging, it'll be declared a contempt. Gentlemen, is your verdict ready? The 12 nondescript citizens cleared their throats in unison. It is, Your Honor, several spoke. Thank you, gentlemen. Stand up, Carlos Robles, and receive your sentence. You got anything to say what judgment should be passed on you in this court? Of course, Carlos had not, due to the fact that he had only the vaguest idea of what was happening. Carlos Robles, Judge Roy continued, his voice almost quaking with the solemnity of the occasion. You have been tried by 12 true and good men, not men of your peers, but as high above you as heaven is of hell, and they've said you're guilty of rustling cattle. Time will pass and seasons will come and go, spring with its waving grass, green grass and heaps of sweet-smelling flowers on every hill and in every dale. Then will come sultry summer with her shimmering heat waves and baked horizons, and fall with her yellow harvest moon and the wild growing brown and golden under the sinking sun, and finally winter with its biting, whining wind, and all the land will be mantled with snow, but you won't be here to see any of them, Carlos Robles. Not a damn sight, because it's the order of this court that you be took to the nearest tree and hang you to and neck to your dead, 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 you olive-colored son of a billy goat. The law west of the Pecos could be cruel when administering his brand of justice, but he was cruel only when he deemed the accused in the crime fully warranted his cruelty. He more frequently tempered justice with his own peculiar brand of mercy, especially if there was any means by which he could profit by that mercy. One afternoon, several ranchmen brought in a 20-year-old boy accused of horse stealing. They demanded that he be tried and dealt with according to the enormity of the crime. Judge Bean duly opened court. He appointed 6 men as jurors, the actual number meaning nothing to him, and depending entirely upon men available. He would not appoint just any citizens to jury duty. They must be good customers of a liquid bar at the other end of the shack during intermissions, or their services as jurors no longer were desirable or acceptable. Every transaction must be made to return with the utmost profits, and non-drinking jurors were strictly dead timber. Hear ye, this honorable court is again in session. Anyone wishing to snort, have it now. This here prisoner is charged with a grave offense of stealing a horse, and Oscar, where are the witnesses? The law of the West, the Pecos opened. He appreciated his own sense of humor in varying his court openings to relieve the monotony, but he seldom varied to the extent of omitting the invitation to participate in a snort at the other bar. We caught him in the act of stealing an animal, the ranchman testified. He admitted his intentions. That right, young feller? Was you stealing the crayas? The young prisoner dropped his head, the unruly red hair tumbling down over his high forehead. Yes, Your Honor, he mumbled. Gentlemen of the jury, His Honor instructed, the accused pleads guilty to horse thefts, and you know as well as I do the penalty. I'm ready for your verdict. And it was promptly forthcoming. Gravely the judge passed sentence. If there's any last word or anything, I'll give you a few minutes, he told the pale Easterner, thus extending an infrequent favor. I would like to write a note to my mother back in Pennsylvania, the doomed prisoner mumbled with obvious emotion. Thank you. Oscar, fetch the prisoner a piece of wrapping paper and a pencil. I think we got a pencil back here behind that row of bottles. Bean gently handed the convicted thief these writing facilities, got up and tendered him to the beer barrel and the rickety table from which the sentence had just been passed. Then he took a position directly behind the boys so that he could watch over his shoulder at what he wrote. The victim wrote at length an apology for the grief and trouble he had caused his mother, and earnestly sought her forgiveness. In a small part, perhaps I can repay you for the money I've cost you keeping me out of trouble. Encloses $400 which I've saved. I want you. Judge Bean started, cleared his throat, and cut in at this point. "By gobs," exclaimed, "gentlemen, I got a feeling there's been a miscarriage of justice in this case. I hereby declare it reopened. Face the bar, young man." The prisoner removed himself from the beer keg and stood erect in front of the judicial bench, befuddled at this sudden turn. After all, that was much cause he said the lad tried to steal. He didn't actually steal him, so I rule it as a finable case. I hereby fine the accused $300 and to get the hell out of the country before I change my mind. The boy gladly enough paid the $300 of his $400, and assured the court that he was next setting sun he would find his brow well beyond the real Pecos. Practically every cattleman and law-abiding citizen of the Bean Bailiwick had an infinite appointment with the deputy constable of the law west of Pecos. Thus any citizen who apprehended any person in the act of committing a crime or suspected that any crime had authority to bring him in forthwith for trial. Being consistently encouraged such cooperation, for the more business they brought before the courts, the greater the financial returns for the whole establishment. Naturally, it was understood that such arresting constables did not in any manner participate in the procuring such as from the bad cases treated by them. This doubtless was the only justice court in the state of Texas where only one official received all fees collected by the office. Under authority as deputy constable, Reb Wise, a Pecos rancher, brought in a cattle rustler on a hot August afternoon when business at the refreshment counter was exceptionally brisk. It was all both Roy and Oscar could do to handle the trade. Consequently, Bean looked up with a sour expression when the deputy constable Wise approached the bar and informed the judge that the prisoner was awaiting attention at the bar of justice. "What's he charged with, Rob?" Roy asked, after opening another foaming bottle of Triple X beer. "Cattle rustling, your honor," Rob replied. "Whose cattle?" "Mine." "You positive he's guilty, Treb?" "Positive? Say, Judge, I caught him this morning running an iron of one of my finest calves," the rancher replied with emphasis. For the first time, Roy glanced up at the scowling prisoner. He noticed the blood dripping from his left ear. "Who plugged his ear?" he inquired. "I did, your honor, when he wouldn't stop." "You ought to shot him in his head, Reb. You could have killed him, and then it would have been had. Besides, he wouldn't have been saved for the punishment he serves. You sure he's guilty?" "Didn't I say, Judge? I caught him with a running brand in my stuff." "All right, then," said the judge. "What'll it be for you, feller?" to the newcomer at the bar. "All right, then. The court finds the accused guilty as charged, and there ain't no worse punishment I know of right now. I hereby sentence him to be hung. Reb, I'm busy as hell here. You and some of your compadres take him out and tie his neck to some handy glim, some place where his cronies will be positive to see him, and that's my ruling. Court's adjourned, and what'll it be before you sit down, Slim?" And then there's a variant of this. "What's the prisoner charged with?" Roy Bean asked. "Stealing horses." "Well, whose horses?" "Mine." "You sure about that?" "Caught him at it." "Who nicked his ear?" "I did when he didn't stop." "Poor shot, Jack. But if you had got him, he would not have been properly finished in becoming a horse thief. It's my ruling that the prisoner is guilty. The rest is your business, Jack. You'd better buy him a drink before you string him up. Court is adjourned." "The next prisoner I took before Judge Bean," said the sheriff, "was a man that everybody had a long time known as a rustler that nobody had been able to pin the evidence on." "What is the galoot charged with?" asked the judge. "Running stolen cattle across the Rio Grande into Painted Cave." "Sure this is the man?" "Caught him in the middle of the ford driving the cattle." "Then why did you bring him here for, when I'm so busy? In case like that, you always give the galoot what he deserves. Take him away and string him up." Then, turning to a line of men at the bar who'd been listening, Roy Bean asked, "Well, boys, what are you going to have?"